Sometimes when you're asked to do something new, like create a persuasive speech, it's like being thrown in the deep end of the swimming pool with no swimming lessons ahead of time. So I thought that it would be a good idea if I just gave you a quick once over of how I would put together a persuasive speech. And that way you've at least had one swimming lesson before you are dropped in the deep end. So when you're putting together a persuasive speech, the first thing you want to do, if it's a speech for a class, obviously, is read the assignment. Different professors want different things. So you should be familiar with the requirements for that particular assignment before you do any work on the speech. Then remember the basics. Your professor has probably already gone over how to give a speech in general. Maybe they've asked you to read a chapter in the textbook that goes over how to give a speech. In my classes, it's the Presentation Power, 7 Secrets for Successful Speaking lecture. So I go over how to give a speech. So remember those basics. Then choose a topic. You'll be doing some brainstorming here. You're going to be thinking about things that you are interested in, things that you already know about, things that your audience is going to be interested in. Then once you've picked a topic, you do your research. Then you put together your outline. So you're imposing order on the chaos. And again, if you are not familiar with how to do an outline, you can Google it, you can look in your speech textbook, you can ask your professor. There are resources available for showing you how to do an outline. Then you put together your visual aids, and of course you rehearse the actual presentation. So I'm going to take you step by step through the process. Now, I'm not going to read the assignment. Obviously, you know how to go and read the assignment on your own, and I'm hoping that you are able to go remember the basics that your professor has already gone over with you. But now let's talk about choosing a topic. So I teach speech communication at a community college, and I am passionate about the community college venue, right? I really think that community colleges are hugely beneficial. So I'm going to, let's pretend I've already done all my brainstorming, and I'm going to give a speech about why you should go to a community college, at least for your first 2 years. Now, to some extent, I'm preaching to the choir here because my students are already at a community college, but I've noticed that a lot of my students sort of feel like they ended up here, that it wasn't their first choice. So my goal is to get people really on board with how beneficial community college actually is, so that they will go out and recruit their friends and tell their friends to go to community college, that they'll tell their parents that they really do want to complete their first 2 years, their basics at the community college level. So I want to strengthen people's belief that community college is a good option and have them act on that belief. So let's do some research. Let's see if I can bring up my Google here. And I've already done some research. So here, but let me show you how I would do it. You just go into Google, and I'm going to type in, for example, community college benefits. Community college benefits in there. It's already popping up. And it's going to tell me, so one of the things when you're doing your research, you're going to ask yourself, is this a reputable site? Is this a site that I would not be embarrassed to cite in a speech? So moneycrashers.com, I don't know how reputable that is. I probably wouldn't do moneycrashers.com or Take Charge America, at least not without more research. However, we're not doing grad school here, so you don't have to go into the scholarly articles area either unless you specifically want to. So that's certainly an option, but it's not required. So instead, I'm going to try to find, oh, US News. US News is a good source, and it's already in purple because I have already brought that up. So 10 reasons to attend. That's this one here. So it's a little slideshow, and it says money, of course, is a reason to attend a community college. In fact, there's the intro. Academic flexibility. Yeah, this is, and you don't have to read the whole thing right now. You're just gathering data at this point. So I'm going to pull up a Word document, and I'm just going to copy paste my sources into the Word document right now. So Control C to copy, and bring up my Word document again. Control V to view. And let's title this document Sources for Persuasive Speech on Community College. How did I misspell that? Persuasive. Oh, I put an extra S in there. There we go. Sources for persuasive speech on community college. And there's my first source. US News is a good source. Now, when you're citing your source in the actual speech, when you put it on your slideshow, you do not want to put this whole URL because that will create information overload. You obviously want to have it handy in case your professor requires a list of works cited, or if you want to have it handy in case your professor asks more detail about that source. But for when you're citing it in the actual speech, you just want usnews.com. That's it. So Control C to copy, Control V to view, and I've already got that handy. All right, that's source number 1. Source number 2. Let's go back into my search here. Let's see, Control T to bring up a new tab, and I'm gonna Google, let's say, oh, I teach at Collin College. So let's look up Collin College tuition, because I know Collin College tuition is going to be a lot cheaper than others. So here, let's look at the tuition fee schedule. In district, so if you live in the Collin County, Collin County, then it's going to be $54, and that's your tuition and fees per hour. So 1 hour is $54. Now let's compare that. Let's look at UNT. Control T, UNT, and go to search, tuition. And let's find tuition, costs, and aid. Let's do tuition and fees. That seems like a bit quicker. And you're going to scroll down, and there should be a calculator. Traditional tuition plan calculator. Okay, so let's say that I am an undergraduate, and I'm in Texas. And let's just take the College of Business, for example. 1 hour in the College of Business. Tuition fees, estimated fees, $731 for 1 hour in the College of Business. Let's see if it changes in a different college. Let's say I'm doing College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. Calculate. Oh, did change a little bit. Now it's $711.41. So I'm going to keep that, Control C, because obviously one of my most persuasive bits is going to be that the tuition is a lot cheaper at a community college. So, and again, this is actually just going to be unt.edu is the source I'm going to cite in my speech, unt.edu. And then I'll have my actual source ready and handily available. And then I wanted to compare that to the tuition at Collin College. So here's the source for that. Control C to copy. Bring up my Word document again. Control V to view. And you can also, when you're putting your sources down, you can put what they specifically have to do with. So I could put here like UNT tuition. So you're not like, why did I use that source again? Collin College tuition. And this one was just reasons to attend community college. Okay, and let's see. Now, so I've already, you know how to Google things, so I'm going to bring up some of the things I Googled earlier to save time. I've got another U.S. News and World Report, 5 ways to pay for community college, and it's got a good quote. I didn't want to be in debt for my whole life, so I started to look at community college. So that's a good quote that I could use. I can talk about the programs available at community colleges. Now, again, at this point, I'm just collecting potential sources. So I may not use any of this. It may be a little bit too tangential for my topic, but better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Control C and bring out my Word document. Control V. Ways to pay for community college. And I can put in here, good quote about debt. And that way I remember why I have this. And then again, this is just going to be usnews.com when I cite that source. You also want to be careful about citing too many of the same source because it looks like you're a little bit lazy. So I might want to pick one of my US News sources and not use both of them. By the way, the assignment for my class says students are required to have at least 4 sources. So 4 high-quality, credible sources minimum. But minimum, you don't want to aim for the bare minimum. That's not going to get you an A. If you want an A, you've got to aim higher, above and beyond. So I want to have 6 sources. So I'm going above and beyond because, of course, I want to aim for an A. Now, here's a source that I thought was kind of interesting. It's Discover.com, the credit card company. And I was wondering, I don't think they have a hidden agenda here. Like, it doesn't affect them one way or another if you go to a community college or a university. But They do want people to be fiscally responsible, because if you declare bankruptcy, then they don't get paid. So maybe that's where they're coming from. So I would be okay with discover.com as a source here. I might, if I were using it in my speech, I might clarify that my sense is the reason they have this on their site is because they have a vested interest in people being fiscally responsible and able to pay their debts and not getting too much in debt. So, and they've done a good job here. They've interviewed experts and people who know what they're talking about. So yeah, I could use this as a source. Control C to copy. Let me bring up my Word document again. Control V to view. And we're just, this one has the community college, 4 advantages to choosing a community college over a university. It'd be quicker if I make this smaller, and then I don't have to keep bringing up the document separately. So this is just going to be advantages of community college over university. And again, that's discover.com, so you don't, when you're doing your slideshow, you don't put the whole URL in there, just the key information. And trust us, we can go to discover.com and do a search for community college, and we will find this article. Okay. Now let's see. I've saved some more. So we've looked at both the U.S. News and World Report sources. We've looked at the Discover source. Here's one of my searches. Revised data shows community colleges have been underappreciated. Well, that's nice. And that's from the New York Times. New York Times is a very credible source. Control C. Control V. And again, that's newyorktimes.com. Now this is from 2017. It's a nice recent source, 3 years ago. Control C to copy, Control V to view. So it gives me my basic source. And community colleges have been underappreciated. Why? Yes, they have. Okay, and then, so how many I got so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I want to add some extras because you're not going to use all the ones that you find in your preliminary research. Ooh, starting out at a community college seems like a really good idea until it's not. And I read this article earlier, and what they're saying is, yes, you do save on your tuition, but transferring is not necessarily as seamless as you would like it to be. So they go down here and they talk about administrative hurdles and that the transfer is difficult. So you want to be careful what community college you choose in order to make the transfer seamless. So that's certainly good advice. I can use this article. So CNBC.com, also a nice solid source. Control C, let's see, Control A, I guess, yeah, and then Control C. Let's put that sucker in there, Control V. And I want CNBC.com, that's all I need, Control C, Control V. There we go. Now, that gives me 7 sources. Let's see. Ooh, the Chronicle of Higher Education. This is a very high quality source. This is a source that's aimed at professors. And the reason I pulled this up is because it mentions that at community colleges, they're more focused on the teaching than on the research. I don't know if you know this, but universities are the place where research happens. So they tend to have professors who might only teach 1 or 2 classes, and the rest of their job is doing research, which is awesome if you're a student in higher level classes because you get the information directly from the horse's mouth, right? From the people who are doing the research. In fact, you might get to participate in that research, which is very cool. But at the freshman level, that also means that, especially at a large university, you're probably going to be in courses where the real teaching and learning happens with teaching assistants, which is people who just finished their undergrad degree and they're working on their graduate degree. They don't have their graduate degree yet. They don't have a master's. They don't have a PhD. Instead, the people that have the PhDs are doing the research. So the teaching is being done by people who don't have a graduate degree at all. Whereas at a community college, the teaching is done by people who have at least their master's degree and probably a PhD. So in fact, this article says most 2-year colleges are part of the state systems and offer 2-year reimbursement for employees attending state institutions. That means if you teach at a community college, they will reimburse you for your tuition when you're working on your PhD. A lot of 2-year universities are also hiring PhDs, largely because there are so many on the job market. So you're going to get taught in your freshman level courses by people who who have at least a master's degree and probably a PhD. So see, when you're doing your research, you can kind of look for diamonds in the midst of all of the, the giant field, right? So you don't know quite what you're going to find until you read the whole article. Always be sure that you read the whole article and see if it might have something you can use. And I can definitely use that. Control V. And that's thechronicle.com. Control C. Control V. There we go. So how many do I have now? I forgot. I lost count. One. I should have numbered these. So this is 1. There we go. This is 2. This is 3. Normally that alignment would bother me because the things that come underneath it should line up over here. But since it's just for my own reference and I'm not showing anybody, this is fine. And I should have numbered it from the very beginning, so forgive me while I take just 1 second to number these, save me some time so I don't keep going back and trying to count. How many sources do I have now? 7, 8, 9. All right, that should be plenty. That way, if I don't use them all, I still have plenty. And you can always go back and do more research, but this is a good starting point. So I'm going to stop here and then I'll restart maybe with another video segment so that it doesn't get to be too long. But I'm going to stop right here now that we have done our research, and I'll start another one on how to put that together in an outline.